Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Incubator podcast live at Hot Topics in Neonatology in Washington, D.C. And we have the pleasure of being joined by Dr. Elizabeth Foglia. Liz, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
For people who don't know who you are, you're an academic neonatologist at University of Pennsylvania and the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, where your NIH-funded research focuses on neonatal resuscitation and respiratory management. You serve as the scientific PI for the AAP's DRIVE network, which we'll talk about today, and contribute to national and international resuscitation guidelines through the NRP Steering Committee and ILCOR. The DRIVE network is so innovative. Can you tell us a little bit about what is this new collaboration that you're spearheading?
Yeah, absolutely. DRIVE, so it stands for Delivery Room Intervention and Evaluation Network, and it's a consortium of delivery hospitals that are gathering together to contribute core data to understand better what's happening in our delivery rooms and how can we improve our practice and our outcomes.
I think that one of the premise of the talk that you're giving at Hot Topics on the Drive Network is so on point, because deliveries happen everywhere in all types of centers, and we should not ignore all these places. So can you tell us a little bit about what is the plan in order to bring together all these different institutions in a collaborative manner?
Yeah, so let me give just a little bit of context. Two things. One, DRIVE really came from my work working with collaborators on the NRP Steering Committee. And what we realized was every 5 years, NRP puts out a new edition. Ninth edition just came out.
Yep.
And every time that we update our materials and update our editions, we realize we really don't have a capacity to understand what's the impact on how providers are performing resuscitation and what is the outcome of that. The other piece that I think is important for all of us to recognize is most of us work in NICUs. Many of us work in highly resourced NICUs, highly academic NICUs. And so that concept of where babies are born and what the delivery room looks like, I think for many of us, we picture our own delivery room.
Yep.
But one phrase that I've heard time and time again is if you've seen one delivery room, you've seen one delivery room.
Yeah.
We all staff them differently, we stock them differently, we behave differently in them. And I didn't realize this until very recently, but there are close to 3,000 hospitals across the US where babies are born. They come in all levels, all types of volumes. And so we really started to recognize that if we understand what's happening in a handful of tightly controlled, highly academic institutions, that probably doesn't reflect real world practice across the US.
And if you've done transport and you went to pick up, you will
Yes.
always be surprised by a new setup, a new configuration, right?
Yes, absolutely.
In terms of the goal of the Drive network, you mentioned that wanting to understand a little bit better what is happening in delivery rooms across the U.S., irrespective of size. But what is, in terms of collaboration, in terms of quality initiative and research, what is the goal for the Drive network?
All of it. All of it. And I really mean that genuinely. When I ask sites who are interested in joining, why? What brings you to the table? I get all of those answers. For some people, it's, I love the DR, and this is the first time that there's a collaborative community I can join. For some people, it's, ooh, I want to understand and benchmark what my practice looks like compared to others. For me personally, because I have an experience as a trialist, I'm really eager to demonstrate how we can use this as an infrastructure for pragmatic trials going forward. So we really are trying to have our cake and eat it too.
Phenomenal. And you're presenting some of the early work that you're doing with the Drive network, and I think that you picked such an interesting topic to discuss the use of supraglottic airways. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be?
Yeah. So supraglottic airways equals laryngeal mask equals LMA. I'll try to use the word supraglottic airway. There's actually a fairly robust literature to tell us that among babies who are born 34 weeks and above, if you're going to perform PPV, a supraglottic airway is actually a better interface than a face mask. And it's in the guidelines. It's recommended by ILCOR. The Neonatal Resuscitation Program is endorsing its use. But a few years ago, we conducted a survey to ask NRP providers, have you ever used a supraglottic airway? And almost none of them have.
Yeah.
So this is an area of practice where there's a really remarkable evidence to practice gap. And we thought that the Drive network would be the perfect opportunity to try to fill that gap
Yeah.
with a very pragmatic hybrid implementation effectiveness trial.
And yeah, I mean, the funny thing is you can ask people, have they used an LMA before? I've found that when I ask people, do you know where your LMAs are? and they also don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, I think we have them, and it's like that's what I think we do have them somewhere, but it's surprising. It's a very simple technique. It's very effective, and yet this gap is present in many places.
You nailed it. What's always struck me as so interesting is it's the tool that we tell people. Listen, if you're up a creek, don't forget you've got this tool, but no one has used it in many years, or just to your point, they don't even know where they would find it.
Yeah. So I show people sometimes. I'm like, it's on this shelf. Like if you're looking for them, they're here. Like I know we stock them. And so in terms of how do you work with all these different centers in a collaborative manner to actually engage not just with data collection but also with analysis and ideation and so on with the centers in the Drive network?
Yeah, we're finally at a point, I think, where we're starting to hit the fun part of this project. We conceived of Drive in 2020. It took about 2-3 years just to get legal agreements in place and IRBs in place. That's the less than sexy part of the work. Now that we actually have some momentum, we're up to 50 hospitals that have joined the network. We have a couple years of data, and we're on the move. So we're actually holding our first meeting at AAP headquarters in February, where we've invited members from every site. 2 members can come. They're funded to come. And the goal is really to have that collaborative community to understand what's working, what do you want to see Drive doing, and we're going to be launching our first multi-center QI project at that time too.
Very nice. Is that the Sugar trial?
No, separate. So Sugar trial is our hybrid trial focused on implementation and increasing implementation of the supraglottic airway. Henry Lee is our quality officer. So at San Diego, yes. And he is leading, they're going to be targeting SpO2 management and really trying to increase the proportion of preterm babies who have an SpO2 within goal range at 5 minutes.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you mentioned the NRP guidelines that were recently updated in October, and Henry Lee give us the pleasure of coming on the podcast to review some of the changes. In terms of going back to the supraglottic airway, the trial that you're running right now is looking at what specific intervention and outcome?
Yeah, so this is new to me. I'm not an implementation scientist. So the trial's name is Sugar, Supraglottic Airway for Resuscitation. And I partnered with Chris Bonafide, who's a colleague of mine at CHOP. He's a general pediatrician. He's an implementation scientist. What we're doing is studying 2 different multi-component implementation strategies. So basically, one group of hospitals will get a sort of pared down group of strategies. The other one will get that plus a lot of external facilitation. And I think what's interesting about it is it will probably inform our understanding of how to promote use of a supraglottic airway.
Absolutely.
It might also inform our understanding in general of how do we promote new resuscitation practices as they come down the line and as they show up at NRP.
Absolutely. For centers and people at centers who are hearing about the Drive network and say, we should participate in this, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. If you actually just Google AAP Drive Network, there's a landing page there through the AAP website.
What is the pie in the sky vision for you for the Drive network, like 10 years down the road?
I want all 3,000 hospitals across the U.S. to be part of our network.
All right, let's try to make that happen.
Okay.
Liz, thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you.
Thank you.